Shalom, Akim, Wa'akwaf, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Barakatham, Bahashem, Rakak Kwadash. And I wanted to bring out some Hebrew before y'all get to this lesson because I used this precept, which is Exodus chapter 20, verse 13. It says in the Bible, thou shalt not kill. But in the Hebrew, the real understanding, the real term should be murder. So as you see in the screen, this is the Hebrew for it. La'ah faratazak. La'ah faratazak. No, not thou shalt murder. Okay, that's the correct law in our Bible. That's how it's supposed to be spoken correctly. And I just wanted to bring out the Hebrew in that real quick before we get to the lesson. I was going to do it in the lesson, but I wanted to get it fact checked by the beloved elder, Salaki, the beloved elder Monaghan. And just so you know, the other way of saying kill, the correct term for it in the Hebrew, instead of me saying it and butchering it, I'm going to let the elder say it. And Lord willing, this is edifying. Just real quick.
I think it's for Harad. Like when curses, we don't say, I think it's for Harad. Like when we say call Haragim, the killings, it's in the curses. We don't say Ratazak. Ratazak means murder.
As you heard, man. So just so you know, I don't say it wrong. And it said it correctly. You heard it from the elder. I got this fact check. And I did want to say this in the lesson. And obviously this is going to be through pre-production. So again, Exodus 20 verse 13. La'ah faratazak. No, not thou shalt murder. Because that's the correct saying for that law. Okay. Basically, thou shalt not murder. Okay, in the English term. But in the Lashon Kodash, the holy tongue, Hebrew, the Paleo Hebrew, La'ah faratazak. No, not thou shalt murder. So I don't want to write this out. I hope and I pray this is edifying, uplifting, and informative to the truth since Akim Wa'akwaf. Shalom.
Murder something in the capital. Capital punishment. Capital punishment. If somebody kills somebody in the capital, Washington, D.C., we're going to be seeking the death penalty. And that's a very strong preventative. And everybody that's heard it agrees with it. I don't know if we're ready for it in this country, but where you have it, it is, we have no choice. So in D.C. and Washington, states are going to have to make their own decision. But if somebody kills somebody, like you could have been killed, very lucky you didn't get killed, it's the death penalty, okay?
Now, when it comes to the death penalty, he does have a unique situation in Washington because as a locality, Washington has actually banned the death penalty, but because of its unique status as a federal district, prosecutors here try murder cases both in the D.C. Superior Court, but also in federal court. And the federal death penalty remains on the books, although it hasn't been used in quite some time. And so how the president goes about this isn't precisely clear. I think when you talk to a lot of lawyers, they say it would be very difficult to seat a jury in Washington that would approve the death penalty. They have also pointed out that a federal death penalty case hasn't been heard in Washington, D.C. in more than 2 decades.
Murder something in the capital. Capital punishment. Capital punishment. If somebody kills somebody in the capital, Washington, D.C., we're going to be seeking the death penalty. And that's a very strong preventative. And everybody that's heard it agrees with it. I don't know if we're ready for it in this country, but where you have it, it is, we have no choice. So in D.C. and Washington, states are going to have to make their own decision. But if somebody kills somebody, like you could have been killed, very lucky you didn't get killed, it's the death penalty, okay?
Now, when it comes to the death penalty, he does have a unique situation in Washington because as a locality, Washington has actually banned the death penalty, but because of its unique status as a federal district, prosecutors here try murder cases both in the D.C. Superior Court, but also in federal court. And the federal death penalty remains on the books, although it hasn't been used in quite some time. And so how the president goes about this isn't precisely clear. I think when you talk to a lot of lawyers, they say it would be very difficult to seat a jury in Washington that would approve the death penalty. They have also pointed out that a federal death penalty case hasn't been heard in Washington, D.C. in more than 2 decades.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 20, verse 13. Thou shalt not kill. Kol holayim la. Al-Banawa, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rekak, Kodash. Double honors to the elder apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone who rule well. Salutations to the Akim out there on the highways and the byways. Salutations to the hopeful elect. Salutations to you speckled birds, you Israelite foreigners. And shalom to the Akwaf, sitting and listening in silence as the scriptures say to do so. Exodus chapter 20, verse 13. Thou shalt not kill. Which I really perceive that it should be thou shalt not commit murder. Okay, but it's in the laws, the statutes, the commandments that Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai has given us to govern the earth to not, commit murder. Now, are people going to be executed and judged? Yes. Okay, so, what Trump is actually stating is correct. An eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. Okay, as the beloved Elder Manatazakba did his lesson, and I'm just basically doing a land back, putting my 2 cents, which this is going to be a pretty short video. I don't want to rock this out straight to the point. Okay, but where he's going off on that, he's letting the states have their own consideration, their own judgment on the matter. When in actual reality, our laws, our statutes, our commandments are going to govern the whole earth. We're not going to have you have your own concept of judgment, concept of laws. It's our way or no way. Point blank period, man. There's not going to be no bargaining. No, we'll let you govern your land your way. No. The laws, the statutes, the commandments, the ordinances, the instructions, the guidelines of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai will rule and have dominion upon the earth. You're going to do things how Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai sees fit. Okay, our laws, our statutes, our commandments, you're going to have to obey. Okay, or get judged accordingly. Okay, point blank period, man. All right, so let's continue. Like I said, it's going to be pretty sweet and straight to the point. Okay, and the beloved Elder Manatazakba went into it thoroughly. But like I said, I just want to add my 2 cents. So let's go to the book of Numbers, chapter 35. Okay, and let's let's read verses 16. Salakia, I'm gonna hold that. I'm gonna read verses 11 to 12, and then I'm gonna jump down. So this is Numbers chapter 35, starting off with verse 11 to 12. Then ye shall appoint you cities to be cities of refuge for you, that the slayer may flee thither, which killeth any person at unaware. So which that means is that person that has committed murder, not premeditated or intentionally, they really didn't intend to take another person's life. Reading on. And they shall be unto you cities for refuge from the avenger, that the manslayer die not, until he stand before the congregation in judgment, man. So this is the correct way to go about things. Okay, now this is talking about what I just read to you, was talking about the person that didn't intend to murder somebody, slay somebody. Okay, and then they go forth against, the judges of Israel. Okay, so the matter can be judged correctly and examined thoroughly. Okay, now let's jump down to those that actually intend and actually premeditate and want to execute somebody. Okay, because again, this is going to be governed upon the whole earth. You're not going to have certain nations and states and, congregations and all that nonsense, how America, Babylon does things. No, every place upon the earth is going to take heed to our laws. You're going to follow them to the best of your ability. Okay? Point blank period, man. All right? Because you're not going to have faggots running around doing whatever they want to do. No, they're going to be executed. You're not going to have your adulterous wife hopping from dick to dick. No, she's going to be executed, and so are the men that commit adultery with her. Okay? And if a woman gets ravished, okay, whether we go into that law thoroughly, and plenty of times and break it down, it's simple. If she screams not and she enjoys it and she's betrothed or she's married, her and the adulterer and the adulteresses, they shall be executed. But if she, screams for help, tries to fight them off, etc., then only the man will be put to death. Okay, but if she is not betrothed, she's not given to nobody, then that man has to, protect and provide for that woman for the rest of his life, man. Okay, because they're going off of the lust, off of their eyes, and not off the intellect or the nature of the person. Okay, so this is Numbers 35, starting off at verse 16. And if he smite him with an instrument of iron, so that he die, he is a murderer. The murderer shall surely be put to death. And if he smite him with throwing a stone, wherewith he may die, and he die, he is a murderer, and the murderer shall surely be put to death. Or if he smite him with a hand weapon of wood, wherewith he may die, and he die, he is a murderer. The murderer shall surely be put to death. The revenger of blood himself shall slay the murderer. When he meeteth him, he shall slay him. So a family matter. Okay? Continuing on. But if he thrust him of hatred, or hurl at him by lying of weight, that he die. So again, premeditation. Okay, so he has hatred towards this person, and he feels in his or her mind that he has to execute this person for whatever reason he or she sees fit. Okay, but if he thrust him of hatred, or hurl at him by laying of weight, that he die, or in enmity smite him with his hand, that he die, he that smote him shall surely be put to death. He is a murderer. The revenger of blood shall slay the murderer when he meeteth him. Okay, so this is all premeditation, all hatred, all intention to take somebody's life for whatever reason that person sees fit, for whatever thing is going through that person's mind, man. Okay, and that's correct judgment from Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. Okay, but how was that, how was that supposed to go? Let's drop down again. Okay, which I just read to you was Numbers 35 verses 16 to 21. Let's drop down to Numbers 35, same chapter, and let's read verses 30 to 31. Numbers chapter 35 verse 30. Whoso killeth any person, the murderer shall be put to death by the mouth of witnesses, but one witness shall not testify against any person, cause him to die. So there have to be witnesses to witness in the encounter of what was done. Okay, unless the person devised, again, premeditated, man. Unless the person devised some type of plan to not be caught, to not have witnesses amongst it, to witness what is done. Okay, but if there are witnesses that be able to see this a judgment being brought forth, then two witnesses are supposed to speak on the matter. Okay, and that goes into the council, the judgment. Verse 31. Moreover, ye shall take no satisfaction for the life of a murderer, which is guilty of death, but he shall surely be put to death, man. So there's no goddamn court system. There's no trial. Like how Esau does things and he prolongs things in court. It's all a money grab, man. It's all a money grab, and everybody to get paid, and having a dispute, bringing forth evidence. What's your cause? Okay, what laws in the books can you bring forth to get this man or this woman off, or get them a certain amount of time, or try to get the what do they call us? Like the charges dropped. Okay, And you know, Esau is, you know, he's a greedy bastard, man, because you know, as we know, the jails are privately owned. So the more they house prisoners, the more money they make. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm not sure if it's both federal and, you know, the penitentiary and regular jail. I'm not too sure, but I know it might be all, but it might just be certain ones. But you have to pay to be in jail. Okay? And so that's correct judgment, man. For people that actually murder people, they're supposed to be put to death, man. You're not supposed to be prolonging the trials and giving them as they say, a fair trial. You're innocent until being proven guilty. Man, if you were Israelite, you're guilty until proven innocent. And furthermore, if they do give you the death penalty, they prolong that. You know, it's supposed to be done just right there, right then and there, man. It's not supposed to be prolonged. It's not supposed to be planned out, man. You're supposed to execute that person again with the witnesses of two or more, man. Okay, and furthermore, a lot of these people now in these days, they confess to the shit, and also too, you Esau really doesn't even need witnesses, because he has damn near surveillance cameras everywhere, and you have technology to prove the person's motive. You know, you got the phone, you got all types of stuff to prove, you know, that the person actually did it. You got they what do they call it? They forensic stuff, you know, to go forth with DNA, you know, getting stuff off of the dead corpses of the people's body and stuff. You know, you got stuff that actually proves that they were there, man. Okay, and you know, you got some stuff that actually proved that Jake was innocent, but they, you know, they still lock up Jake for what? For FRNs, for Federal Reserve notes, man, to increase their tax bracket, man. Okay, but again, those that commit murder are supposed to be put to death, man. But again, everything about Esau is for greed, man. Okay? Point blank period, man. Because just like Title 4D, aka child support, is a big gain for them, I think the second would be, you know, incarceration, man. You know, the prison system. That's also a major gain too. Okay? Just ask Michael Jordan, man. That's also a major investment for a lot of these Edomites and people that you know, build jails and everything else, man, because again, it's a private entity. Okay, so like I said, man, it's gonna be short and sweet and straight to the point, man. All right, so I don't want to rock this out, man. I hope and I pray that this is edifying, uplifting, and edifying, uplifting, and informative to the true sincere Aki and Wa Akwaf. So with that, I'm just gonna say, Shalom.